So yeah, speaking of coaches, there might be a little turmoil down in Tampa. You think Bruce Arians' response to Brady's gameplay was warranted, or do you think the media is just making too much of it?
No, I thought it was warranted because earlier in the season, somebody asked, it was one of the reporters was like, oh, how do you treat Tom Brady? And he's like, he gets cussed out just like the rest of them. So I think he already set the precedent that, like, hey, if I say some shit in the media, like, this is not a turmoil. It's like I expect the best out of these guys, him included. I don't care what he's done in the past. So I think he kind of set that precedent. Um, and truth be told, I mean, Brady had a decent game. He really didn't play that well. He had a couple of those really good Brady throws. You're like, what the fuck? But then he threw like that really bad pick, and they got torched by a better team. Like, you know, it wasn't like their first week without a preseason and all that was against a really tough opponent, a NFC contender, but they still didn't like. They didn't show a lot, you know, especially with all the weapons that they have and stuff that everyone was like freaking out about. It didn't really come together. I expected to come together, but it just didn't come together that first week. And I mean, and like the way, I mean, Bruce Arians was basically like, hey, what? He basically said, like, we didn't execute. It wasn't like, oh, Saints did this. You know, Saints showed this look, Saints showed that look. Both of them were like, no, we just sucked. like, so, I think he kind of set the precedent that he's straightforward with even him. So I don't think there's much turmoil.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was kind of expecting this. You know, they kind of put together a new team. Really, the only kind of skill players they kept was the receivers. They brought in Gronk, but I don't think Gronk's going to do much. He's kind of past football. But yeah, I do like that Bruce Arians was like, yeah, that was Brady's fault. And it's kind of his way of saying, yeah, we didn't execute. But he's just saying, like, you know, he's putting it, you know, blunt out there, which, you know, I'm cool with. I think it's fine. I think Brady understands, too. Like, this is not the Bill Belichick who's like, oh, yeah, you know, this is it's better. No, this is Bruce Arians. He's going to be like, yeah, you know, you didn't, you know, read it right. Mike Evans did read it right, and we got picked off. That's what happens. And to New Orleans' credit, I mean, their defense is nasty, and they just got even better in the offseason.
I think a lot of people are making a big deal, but only because it's Brady. I feel like if that was any other QB, if that was Jameis Winston from last year when Bruce Arians came out and was just like, we would have won the game, but Jameis Winston threw 10 picks. You know what I mean? Like, everyone, when that happened, they're like, well, yeah, it's got it down the throat. So I just feel like, yeah, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think traditionally, like most NFL guys or whoever, they're like, yeah, keep that in house. Don't put your QB on blast and stuff. But I think he's just keeping it real. I think he was kind of like, you know what? Like, we sucked. He read that wrong. He kind of sucked. We kind of, like,
Yeah.
everyone kind of sucked.
Yeah, like
so.
he had a bad game. I mean, that's very understandable. It's just, yeah, most coaches are like, yeah, let's keep that in house. Bruce Arians is like, Brady's been in this league for long enough that he doesn't, you know, he's not going to get his feelings hurt when I say this. He knows he messed up, and I'm sure right after the play happened, they looked at it on the sidelines. Were like, oh yeah, fucked up. You should have, you know, thrown the curl. Well, I mean, I was going to ask you, who do you think is actually on the hot seat more, Adam Gase or Matt Patricia? Did you see Patricia's post-game interview last
No, what did he
week?
say?
I forgot what the question was, but they essentially asked him if it was like bad play calling, and he was just like, no, like that's a dumb question, and just like walked out.
Oh, really?
It was like the boss. It was like a boss move. They're like, oh, could it have been better play calling?
Oh, shots
And he's like,
fired.
no.
I don't know. I mean, I think they're kind of both in the same temperature of seat here. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really thought about that much to really comment on it. I kind of think they're both. I think it's too early to tell for me, at least. I don't know if you have a better idea.
I think watching the Jets game last week against Buffalo, albeit Buffalo is a good team, the Jets were just horrendous. I mean, they're trying to arm tackle, you know, instead of just going for like wrap tackles. They had like Buffalo had a scrawny guy doing a punt return and got like 20 yards just running straight through arms. So I think there's no discipline there. I think Adam Case should have been fired last year, but he kind of weaseled his way into the
Yeah, he
season
gave
by
that
saying Darnold
GM
was
those
hurt.
fucking googly eyes, and It's just like, all right, dude, just take your job back. Get out of my office.
Yeah, I think any coach probably would have been gone by now, but he's still here somehow. And I think it'd be a miracle if he stays through the end of the year. I guess maybe we're overreacting to a bad, week one, but this guy did just lose his best defender. His other best defender opted out, so he's really got nothing to work with on defense, and it showed in that Buffalo game. It was bad.
Yeah, I mean, truth be told, I just don't think he's a good coach. So I think it's inevitable he's going to get fired, whether it happens at the end of the year or during the year next week. Um, I think the cards are written for him.
Yeah, I mean, even when he was in Miami, he came in there with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. I think they had Jay Ajayi at running back. As they, just kind of drafted Devontae Parker, and he just kind of threw them all to the curb. He's like, yeah, Ryan Tannehill's whatever. He traded away Jay Ajayi. He just like shelved Devontae Parker, who just got, one of his best years last year. Like you wonder how good he could have been in his first few years if Adam Gase wasn't there. And then somehow he still gets a job in New York as a head coach.
Yeah, that made no sense, but we'll see what happens with that. I don't see
So
good
yeah,
things.
I think Gase is probably on the hotter seat than Patricia at this point. I think Patricia's just kind of players got beef with him.
Yeah.